There we go.
Okay, well, good morning. We are finishing chapter 2 in Adobe Animate today. And so on Wednesday, we worked on our coffee mug. Okay, so we created the coffee cup on Wednesday. We used the shapes of the rectangle and the oval to create the coffee mug. We used the fill feature and looked at gradients. Got my little bill. Looked at gradients. And does anybody remember how to create a gradient?
No.
Okay. Up here at the top on your colors panel, you have solid color, which is the default, but we went to linear gradient and we were able to add additional colors. Remember that?
No.
And that's how you created that highlight in the middle, Brecken. And that highlight is designed to mimic, do you see my cup? And you see I have that reflection right here? And I also have a reflection over here because I have 2 different light sources in the room. Now I only have 1 reflection. Now I have 2 because I have another light. So that's what that center part does, is create that highlight. So I could always click on my color and add another highlighted look there. And so that, if I applied that to my coffee mug, I didn't have it selected, but it would create the highlight here in the center and I have the highlight on the other side. If I decided I had too many colors, I could click and just drag it down. Okay, so then I'm back to just my 3 colors. All right. So I said I would show you guys how to make the coffee cup one more time because Kyle, I think, was struggling with it earlier. But I made the rectangle. And I made a rectangle. And it has a stroke color around it. And remember that when you create objects, each object has 2 pieces. It has a stroke, which is the pink you see on the screen, and it has the fill color. So every object, when you create them, have 2 parts. If I don't want, I'm going to Command Z that. If I don't want a stroke around it in my color swatch for that particular feature, I need to click the white box that has the red line through it, and that says no color or no stroke. So if I click that one and I draw the rectangle, notice I only get that gradient color that I have happening there. Okay, so there is no outer stroke going around it. I don't know why I'm moving my screen, but okay, so, but in this case, we're using the stroke as a part of the image. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to give it a very dark blue stroke. Okay, so back to our coffee cup here. And then I used the oval tool and I came in and I drew my ovals. Donk.
Yep.
Put my rectangle over it. There we go. Okay. So then I'm going to create a new layer. Coffee cup. Okay, can't have spaces, so it puts that underline in there in case you're wondering. Then I've got my rectangle. I'm going to create my coffee cup. Of course, I didn't have a fill. Make it blue. There we go. Select. There we go. Get my oval. There's the top. There's the bottom. I'm going to select. Now it's letting me do it. I just needed to get a new document, I guess. Something was hanging up. Of course, it's been running for 2 days, so maybe that was my problem. What? Okay, so I've cleaned that part
Wipe
up.
out your computer.
Then it wanted us to select the top portion and duplicate it. And so Command D or Control D will allow you to duplicate it. And then if I transform it using the 3rd button down, it wanted us to make it just a little bit smaller. I'll get back to my selection tool. And I needed to move that back over so it would create kind of an inner lip. So that it would create kind of an inner lip for the coffee mug. Then I can click this part and delete it. So there's my inner lip for the coffee mug. And then if I click that section again and Command D or Control D and duplicate it, then that's going to come down and be the top of my liquid. I'm going to move the bottom part of my coffee lip down just a little bit. No, I'm not, because then that creates me a whole other issue. Okay, so here's my liquid in my coffee cup. Mine's probably smaller than you guys. There's my coffee. And I need to delete this. Did we delete this inner part?
I didn't see it say anything about that, but the pictures had it deleted after.
Yeah, okay. So then I'm going to select, okay. So then I'm going to do transform.
You might want to lock your background.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what happens when you get in a hurry. Okay. I'm going to transform and select my object, and that gives me the handles on it.
Wasn't it like Command Shift something?
Yes. There it is. Notice the little symbol down by my arrow, because I was getting the circle, but I wasn't getting that one. So there's allows me to reshape. Then as I come out here and I want to bulge the sides of my cup, notice again, the shape that attaches, and I'm not holding anything down. I just have that little curve. So it allows me to fatten out my coffee mug. Okay. Then the next thing I did was I used the pencil tool. And with the pencil tool, I created the aroma smoke coming out of the top. I upped my stroke just a little bit. I didn't actually like how thick they had it, so I'm leaving mine at about 5. My style is just a solid line. And then the width, I have the option to go from thick to thin. And it creates this little figure 8 looking calligraphy looking pen. And I just came over here and I just created, and I kind of liked those wispies a little bit better.
You did that on the same layer, didn't you?
I did. Because my coffee cups, whoop.
That hurts me a little, but okay.
Okay. I've zoomed in, so just a little movement makes it fly across the page. Okay, so that gets us back to our coffee cup. Everybody okay with that? I take that as a yes. All right, so then in Animate, because I closed out of my window earlier, I was trying to make sure I've covered. Okay, so, oh, I didn't do the fill color and that kind of thing. So let me go back to selection. Select my colors. So once I've done something, if I want to add back to that selection, I click 1 and then I hold the shift key down and I can add to that selection. Then I'm going to come back up here to my color palette. Whoops, I'm going to go to my swatch here. And I'm going to choose linear gradient. And then there's my coffee highlights and gradients. But in your book, it talks about how the gradient happens here, but it would be reverse that as it reflects on the other side. So it talked about transforming, and you could skew, which would allow you to tilt it. Whoops, what happened there?
That looked weird.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna choose I just need the background part to be flipped. Okay. And I could rotate that. No.
I don't think that worked how you thought it would.
Nope. I'm just gonna go back to my color. Linear gradient. And I'm gonna swap ends. So I can take that end down there and I can take this end down here. And that's another way for you to do it. Doesn't look perfect because I have that aroma thing there in the middle. So it stopped the highlighting here. That's what happened there.
And
Okay.
the colors.
Yep. So the light is hitting from this direction. So when it hits this side, it's also going to be lighter on this side. Does that make sense? So you've really got to think about where your light sources are and how light reflects off of an object. Again, can you guys see me too? Are y'all seeing the gallery panel? Or are you just seeing the screen?
You talking about your face?
Yes. Can you see my face?
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if y'all were seeing the reflection that I was talking about. So just like I was talking about my cup a while ago. So I see this reflection here. If I tilt my cup like, no, it's not going to catch the light like that because that light's too far away. Okay. So I have lighter right here. And if you can tell, I've got a little bit lighter section right here. Okay. So how light hits things, these sides are darker, but right here I can see, maybe you guys can see. There you go. You can see. This side is lighter because the light is coming from this direction hitting here and it's reflecting here, but it's not being reflected back on these edges. So the more real you want something to look, you've really got to think about how it interacts with its environment. I've been talking about this with the second years with the 3D animation, and it works the same way. You can't have lights hit a hill and not hit a flower that's on the hill or hit the tree and light the tree up the same way. So you've got to think about how those things all interact in their environment. So anyways, we're not getting into 3D here, but still light reflecting can either make or break an image as well. So we have our cup here. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to zoom back out a little bit and we're going to add the waves in the background. And so I'm going to use the pen tool to do that. And the pen tool is right above the T. Okay, right below the lasso. And so
For me,
again,
it's different.
okay. Where is that?
I was about to say that above the T and below the lasso, there's a whole section. For me, at least.
Okay.
Which includes the star, oval, rectangle, pencil, pen, and the thumbtack.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whatever this thing is.
Okay.
Line
So
tool.
my tools are now over here on the left-hand side, more like y'all's. But okay. So does that look a little more similar to what you guys are seeing?
I don't think we have the shape tool. No. Here, Miss Stevens,
Okay.
let me share quick.
Okay.
I'll show you what they're talking about.
I
Yeah.
don't know how it would work if two people try to share at the same time.
No,
You
his
can't.
will just take over mine.
No, it says you can't share while someone is
Okay.
also sharing.
So I stop share. Show me yours and I will.
Yeah. This is the tools they're talking about. And
Okay. So your pen tool is located where?
The pen tool is.
Oh, right above your T.
Yeah,
I don't even see that.
Okay, click on your pen tool, Kyle. Click and hold. No, over here on the tool.
Oh,
Can I share for a second?
Sure.
Because I'm completely not seeing the. Yeah, here's my, what looks like a freaking
Okay.
ice cream.
okay.
So stretch your,
I don't, like,
No, that's not his pen tool. All right, Toby.
yeah. Scroll
Right.
down, Toby.
Yeah, right below the camera, is there 3 dots
Yeah.
or something like that? Press that.
I
Not the-
don't even see that.
Look at the bottom of your deal. You have the eraser, the paint can, the eyedropper. Go
Yeah.
down below the camera.
The camera's the last thing. Under
Here.
that is the Windows logo, and I
Make-
can't get it to go down.
Make the toolbar slide out a little.
Yeah. Resize your toolbar. Move over the edge right there. Click and hold and drag. There you go. Now you've got the 3 dots. Okay, and then there's your pen tool.
This thing.
No, not that one.
Right there. That looks like a
Right
pen.
there. Yeah. Okay.
Gotta press P.
So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Why can't I just put it right here?
Let go of
Oh,
it.
the other one. It tries to move it down there.
Oh, because that's what your new customized options. 'Cause
Well, drag
these
and drop.
There you go. It's there now. All right. So I'm glad you showed that, Toby, because other people may be having the same problem working on a laptop versus a desktop and having the same space. So thanks for asking and sharing that, because that probably helps a few other folks as well. All right. Stop sharing your screen for me. There you go. Thank you. So what we're going to do with the pen tool is we're just going to create some waves along the back. And so I'm going to start off screen and I'm going to click
They got an ice cream hole.
and it just starts building. And I don't have a fill color, Fooey.
Your screen's not sharing.
Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah,
back up.
probably can help.
Y'all are so picky.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to use the pen tool, and this time I'm going to make sure I have a color. Whoops.
That just
Yeah, hang on. Okay. No, let go of that. Oh, hang on. I got to make a new layer. That's what I'm not doing. I changed my screen and let me go back to essentials. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a new layer. And I'm going to call my new layer waves. There you go. Now I can get somewhere. Okay. So with the waves, and I have my pen tool. Okay, I'm going to start off of my panel. Whoops, I don't know why I was plumb up there. Okay. And over here on my pen tool, I used the pen tool to create my smoke. And so it still has that narrow to wide to narrow. And I'm going to set it back to a straight line.
Oh, I used the pencil tool.
Okay. And then I'm just going to create. And what I want you to notice, and I'll mention it here now that I'm past my cup, as you click on a curve, you can get a line, so you can kind of angle it where you want it, or I'm sorry, not angle it where you want it. That is a Bezier curve. And so once I've added that second clip, I can stretch or curve those lines if I want them to bubble or something like that. And I'm coming off the screen. And I can curve that next piece. So you can get pretty creative with your lines if you use the Bezier curves, but you have to close it. So you have to come back to your first. And I didn't have a fill. So I'll come back with the paint can and I'll fill that in. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to, and I wanted no stroke on that. That's okay. It'll be fine. All right. So I've got the one wave there. What I want to do is I want to duplicate that. So I'm still on the waves. I didn't change layers. And I'm going to command, let me select it. Sorry. Select it. And select my there we go. No. Waves. Give me waves. There we go. And then I'm going to Command D or Shift, Control D on the PC. And so I've just duplicated that layer. All right. And I'm going to offset it a little bit just to create a little visual interest. Cover that up. I could even transform it to make it bigger or smaller. And that way, my problem is I'm trying to cover up those curves that I made so that the yellow doesn't shine through, but that may not happen today. And if I want to make this, whoops, I want to make this back layer move to the front by right clicking, I can choose to, whoops. It's not letting me bring it to the front. And I did that this morning. Okay. I'm going to select this one. What I want to do is I want to make this one to be, I don't want to change the colors. I want to change the intensity or the transparency of this particular one. So under my color panel, my color palette, we talked the other day about hue, saturation, and brightness. I just mentioned those so you could change the intensity of those colors. And you can see that one just changed. The saturation and the brightness. Okay. But I can also change the transparency or the see-through ability of that. And that's down here on the A, your alpha channel. I can take that down. And you can now see through it all the way. I didn't quite want it to be that see-through. Maybe 50. There. Okay. And so I'm actually going to take these waves layers and I'm going to move it behind the coffee mug. Now my layers got kind of offset from my section, but now the coffee mug is in front of that. Does that make sense? Mine's not very pretty. My one this morning was much prettier. There you go. So that's what I did to create these, is I just changed the transparency of the layers. Does that make sense? Now, you could duplicate, like I did, the layer, the wave, and just place it 3 times on there, or two extra times on there once you draw it, and then change the opacity or the intensity of those colors if you want them to all be different shades of that. Or you can draw each one separately. That is entirely up to you. Okay? So that doesn't matter, whoops, as long as we've created a differentiation. All right? So then the next thing it wanted us to do, we added the aroma. One of the other things it wanted us to do was to add a border. So I'm going to use the line tool. Did I use the line tool? Did I use the pencil tool? I think I used the pencil tool. Nope, I used the brush tool, Okay, so down on my brush tool, not the one with the little wavy line attached to it, but just you can use B for the shortcut, your brush tool. I'm going to add a new layer, move it to the top, call it border, brush, or whatever, because we're going to add a border to this. Okay, with the brush tool. Sorry, the paintbrush tool for this one, for the border. And then I've got my brush library. That is the brush with the little tilde with it. I'm going to choose the paintbrush cup there to the end of style. And it gives me this paintbrush library. And in here you can click and there's arrows with special, there's arrow standard, you've got artistic, okay, there's decorative. So all of these effects come in with it that you can choose from. And again, this is the paintbrush with the tilde. Okay, then there's line art and there's pattern brushes. The one in your book says to use the dashed. This morning I used the dashed with circles. That's what my border is here, the dashed with circles. So you can customize, and that's what I'm saying. Your coffee mug art can be whatever. I want you to play around with these features. Novelty, like there's little flowers, that's kind of cute. So I'm just going to do that. So if I take it and I draw across, it makes these little funky lines. And so I'm thinking I've done something wrong. You have not done anything wrong. That's just the visual pattern of where your stuff is going to go. Whoops, I didn't double click and choose my flowers. So let me do that again. I want to make sure that it's loaded over here in my styles. I got ahead. Okay, I want to make sure it loads over here in my styles. So then I'm going to come back over here and I'm doing this. And it goes, oh, there's your little flower stream. But my flower stream is not level. Does everybody notice that? You can actually make your flowers go however you like them, which is kind of fun. Okay, so I could just make a little curlicue down here and add flowers wherever. Now, one of the things that kind of bothers me about this is that I see all of this extra junk. Now, way back in our first class, I think I mentioned how to not see that. Does anybody remember?
I've slept since then.
Did we lose a Stephanie?
Delete it.
Nope, a Stephanie's in there. I just wasn't seeing her deal. Okay, so to stop seeing that stuff that's hanging out around my border so that I know exactly what's going to be displayed, if you look in the top right-hand corner of your monitor there, you have this little box. It says clip contents outside of your stage. I only want to know what's on the stage. I don't want to see what's behind the curtains. That is actually what it looks like. Okay, and it's just clicking this one little box up here, gives you everything in case I needed to get back and resize or swish or something here. That cleans up those edges. So this is what my audience would actually see. All right, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to Command Z or Control Z on the PC. And instead, I want my flowers to be straight. I can also change the size of my flowers if I want them to be bigger over here. And so if I start on one side and hold the Shift key down, the Shift key constrains the proportion and it will make it stay in a straight line. So as I come across, I can drop down here and it's not going to matter because I can't do anything but do a straight line. And so there are my flowers. Okay. And so then I can move it down. I can, if I've got the curve attached to my arrow, so you see I can bend it. What is it, sweetie?
Properties of.
You did. Okay. So that's how you can use the brush library. And the book said use the dashed border, but I want you to customize this logo. I want you to have it whatever you want it to be. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to add text. Oh, let me add my border across the bottom. Holding my shift key down. I'm just going to go right, oops. Hang on. Wrong thing. I didn't have my brush. Okay, now I'm back. My little girl's in here talking to me, so there you go. And then I'm going to move it up a little bit just so that it's, oh, nope, not with the curve. There we go. Move it up just a little bit. Okay, so now I have my flowers on there. That's what my screen looks like. Then I'm going to add text. So under text, let me close my brush library over here. Under text, I have this family of characters or my fonts. But above that, we have the text tool, and I've got an option up here, and yours probably says static text. I'm not sure what you're looking at. But static text means that it remains the same. Okay? So how many of you have opened up a web page or gone to something and it says missing font or font not available? Everybody done that at some point in a project or on a website?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, well,
Same.
well, when I open up one of the Adobe files, it said you don't have this particular typeface. Do what? No, I need you to back up so I can finish. Okay. Static means that when you take it from here and you put this on Twitter or you put it on Facebook or you put it on whatever, if you are using a custom YouTube, if you, no, because YouTube's just video only. But then somebody wants to download that or wants to take this project and download it to actually print it as a banner or to print it as a graphic, and they don't have that font, then there's problems, okay? So under static is not always the best feature. You can use it as long as you're doing everything on your computer. If you want it to customize to a specific platform, like the phone versus the tablet versus the web versus whatever, then dynamic is going to be a better option. Okay? Dynamic fonts will be a better option. And if you want it, and let me go into your Animate textbook. Hang on, let me show you text, creating and editing text. Okay, this section, creating and editing text in chapter 2, talks more about this. But dynamic text allows you to use web fonts. Okay, and it allows you to do Adobe fonts and Google fonts so that you're not going to have issues. Down here, I think.
This isn't the finished product, correct?
No, this is not the finished product.
All right.
This is just me creating and showing you these tools. Okay, the finished project, if you're following the book and you're being very specific, it's going to look more like this. Am I sharing? Yes, I'm sharing my screen. So you see this, right?
No, we do not.
You do not see the Adobe textbook.
See
No.
what? No.
Okay, let me share again. Sorry. Here we go.
I was about to say, all I saw was your mouse just going over
Okay,
something
so
on
this
the
is
screen
more
that
what the
wasn't there.
finished product is going to look like.
Oh,
This is what's in
Okay.
the textbook. Let me back up a little
I'm
bit.
in the middle of something. The video conference? I don't know.
Okay, here's what the finished
It
project
depends on how
should-
long it takes.
Can you mute your mic?
I just muted him. Okay, so the coffee banner, if you're following it specifically with the textbook, it's going to end up looking like this. Okay, and I'm fixing to talk about how to add this text. But I don't mind if yours, looks something like this, only cleaner, where you've created your own. Okay, so feel free to play around with these tools.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to come back down to my coffee mug layer, and I'm going to I'm going to select that layer. And I'm going to move my coffee mug on down the page. Of course, it was in the wrong format to draw, so never mind. When I drew it, I had it as merged, not as object. So what I'm going to do now is add text. So I'm going to go to my text tool. It's talking about dynamic text. Family of fonts, that's like your Times, your Roman, Times New Roman, Arial, whatever. So we've got all of our fonts here. But you can also add web fonts. Get rid of that. Web fonts and Adobe fonts, but they don't work everywhere. Google fonts are much better. So when I click that, it takes a second to load the screen. And then when it loads the screen, it still takes a second to load the different categories. So these are the fonts that are web fonts. And these are the ones that you could have used in any type of device and be easy to read. They recommend you use the Architect's Daughter. Well, okay, in the textbook, that's what they recommend. And that's under alphabet. And these are in alphabetical order here. And so if you want the Architect's Daughter, you got to scroll down, or you can type. Whoop. And it drills down to that particular area. So these are all the ARCH. And so here's the Architect's Daughter's font it talks about. And when you choose it, it puts the little check mark here in the corner. So notice it just added the check mark there. So these will all become part of my family over here. So I can turn that one off if I don't want it, and turn that archivo off if I don't want it. But you can, again, look through these. There's date added, or those are the dates they were added. And then here under selected font, these are the ones that I've chosen. Whoops, all fonts. There we go. So I could add that one. Oh, got to get rid of my names up here if I want to see more. There we go. So now I've got everything back. And so there's a whole long list out here. So I like Allura. Come on.
And there's more, and more.
Yes, there are. And so once I choose all the ones I want, I can hit done at the bottom. And it says, please wait while these changes are applied. And it takes a little bit for your font list to update. Okay, so it says 2 web font families down here were added and 1 web font family was removed. All right, and I'm on the output tab down here at the bottom. So my timeline went away, but I can click through again and bring it right back. So your screen may make some of these changes that you hadn't seen before. So under times, here's my Allura that I added, and here's my Architect's Daughter. And so the web fonts that you add are typically going to be at the top. So if I choose that Architect's Daughter, and I come over here, and I'm going to write my name. Okay, I should have done that on its own layer. Everything should be on its own layer. I don't know why I'm forgetting that, because I've done it in Photoshop that way for years. Everything should be on its own layer that you want to keep as an item. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Make a new layer. Call it Stevens Coffee. Okay.
Even coffee.
Okay. Then, nope. Then go get my text box. Got Architect's Daughter. My font color right now is bright green, which will be great.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's Kyle asleep.
Possibly. He says no,
No.
his eyes popped up. Okay, so there's my Stevens coffee. And that white box doesn't stay around it all the time. When I click off of it, it goes back to there. However, I did have a border on that. Didn't mean to, but, and then it wants you to add 2 more boxes of text. Taste the difference, I think it said. And so you can resize that box. Let me change my font size.
I don't know what.
Get my move tool and I can move that. I'm gonna get it down here on a color where I can read it. And then I do not want a border. No border. No border. Okay. Okay. And then it wanted you to just add 3 more texts, one that said Wi-Fi, pastries, and whatever. I'm not going to go into that. You guys can do that because you know how to use the text tool now. But one of the other things that it talks about is aligning. So if I click this text and I click this Stevens coffee text, and I want them both to align to the left, or I want them to be aligned in the center, or I want them to align to the right, under this button right here, okay, it's your Align Information Transform section. I can choose to align those at the center point, or I can choose to align those at the left, or to align those at the right, or align them in the middle. Well, I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to Command Z. But I may want them to be left aligned. And so when you're working with those 3 additional boxes for the pastries, the Wi-Fi, the whatever, one, it wants you to align to the left, one, it wants you to align to the right of this taste difference, and then it wants you to select them all and center it. So this is the box it's talking about using in that particular section. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So then you would add those others. Now, one of the other things that this chapter talks about that I hadn't hit on yet was to take an object that you've created, and I'm going to look at just my coffee mug. I want you to focus on just that a second. Okay. In this chapter, you have 3 different objects. Let's see. If I create this coffee cup and I leave it like it is, it's going to take up X number of space, right? That coffee cup takes up X number of space on this page. If I duplicate this coffee cup, it's going to take up that same amount of space 2 and 3 and 4 times. Does that make sense? Okay. However, and it makes my file size grow that much more. So if this
Beautiful.
if this is 500 megabytes and I multiply, if I duplicate it 5 times, now I've got 2,500 megabytes. Does that make sense space-wise? Okay. I don't want to do that. I don't want to explode my file size. So to manage that, if I take this coffee cup and I turn it into a symbol, okay, so this becomes a representation, and then when I duplicate it, what happens to the file is the file says, oh, they just used that same image multiple times. So, but I'm just going to store that image 1 time. Does that make sense? I'm going to store the image 1 time, but I'm going to keep the information that they used it 5 times. So that keeps your file sizes smaller by using it as a symbol. There are 3 different symbols that you can have. You can have a graphic symbol, a movie symbol, and a text symbol. I forgot. Woo-da-da-da-da-da. Symbols. Transparency to create depth. That's where we change the alpha channel. Using the paintbrush to creating and editing text, aligning to add about symbols. Move and a graphics. A graphics, a movie, and a button. The button was one I was missing. Okay. And so the movie symbol will allow you to use this when you're creating animations. So that's helpful to know. You can apply filters, color settings, blend modes to a movie clip. But again, it only stores that image one time and not every time you use it. Okay. A button symbol is used for interactivity. So like if you're creating a web page banner and you want somebody to be able to click on that button and take them somewhere, or when they click on the button, you know how buttons, they shine or change color or lighten when you click on them? You can do that if it's a button symbol. Okay. And then a graphic symbol, they do not support interactivity. Do not support. Okay. So, and you can apply filters or blend modes to a graphic. So we're going to make ours a movie symbol so that we have all the options that we want to it. Okay. Does that make sense? And can everybody see my Adobe textbook screen? Okay. So I am sharing.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to do with this. And so, whoops, sorry, my brain. Okay. I knew it had that up there at the top, but. Okay. So to create that as a symbol, we're going to right click on here on our object. I'm on the coffee mug layer because that's the only thing I've got seen, but you guys may have all your layers visible. You need to make sure you're on the right layer. Okay. And so down at the bottom, there's the option to convert to symbol. And then it's going to ask you to give it a name. So I'm going to call it mug. And then right below that, it asks you what type of symbol do you want to make it? Well, I want to have some interactivity potentially with it. A button lets me highlight it or change colors when it's clicked on for interactivity. A graphic does not let me do any of that. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on movie clip. This is just the central point of it. And so I'm leaving the central point to be the upper right, just like it is. And it's going to be saved in my root library. Wherever this project is, that's where this is going to be saved. Okay. And so I'm just going to leave everything else alone for now. You may not even see the advanced. Yours probably looks just like this. And I'm going to click OK. So now my mug is a symbol within this file. So if you look up here under the properties panel, it now shows that it's a movie clip. Okay, and the instance is named mug. So if I take this, I can copy it and paste it. Whoops, and move it. There we go. And so now I have two, but it's only saved it one time in this file. That's the difference in making it a symbol. Okay, so if I double click on this second one, another thing that I haven't pointed out is if you look right here at the top of your scene or your window, it says scene 1. We've been working in scene 1 the whole time. So it doesn't really look much different. What? Come on up here. Okay. So we've been working in scene 1 this whole time, and I've got my timeline down here. But if I double click on this symbol, this instance, it takes me into the object itself. So now I have scene 1 mug. Okay. And now all I see on this layer is the mug layer. All right. So you may go, okay, well, what happened to all my timeline stuff down here at the bottom? You need to recognize that you're in a scene. I can either hit this back arrow or I can just click on scene 1 to get back. There's the back arrow, gives me back my timeline. Okay. So if you kind of get lost in that movement, I want you to be aware that this is up here. Then it has you go in and modify your cup. And if you change the instance of a symbol, remember it saves it once and it uses it multiple times. So if I change an instance of that, it changes the object. So you can see mine is now green because I changed the color. Okay, so that might not be what you want to have happen. So you got to be aware of that. If I have it as a symbol and I change even a copy of it, because it only stores it once and reuses it, it's going to change that original. So you kind of need to know that going in as you start to work with projects, how you want that to happen. Okay? So that's one of the next things it talks about with creating symbols and managing symbol instances, is where it talks about adding another symbol, which we just did with the coffee cup by duplicating it. It has you change the transparency of it, and you can do that. Here's change the size and the position of an instance. I can resize that with the free transform tool, but some of the changes that you make will change both instances. So look through here, pay attention to that. Applying filters for effects. So this has you change this coffee mug and blur it. Whoops, let me move this. Okay.
Hey, Ms. Stevens, I have a question.
Sure.
So I just opened up the lesson 1 file because mine didn't save. And like it popped up with the blurry background and the 2 pictures blurred and the stars and stuff already on there.
Okay, that's
And I don't
chapter
remember
1.
seeing that.
We're in chapter 2.
Yeah, I know, but like mine didn't save. I haven't been able to turn it in yet because my Adobe Animate had to update some stuff. But
Oh, okay.
it just popped up like with, I think it saved some of what I had did, but I'm not really sure. I can't share my screen because I have it on my phone today.
Okay.
'Cause I had all my stuff updating.
Okay. So when you open it up, it's all blurred?
Like it's the background's blurred, and then it has the Ferris wheel in the front, and all the stars are in the front.
Right. It's
But-
supposed to do that. That was a
Okay.
filter that was applied.
Whew, all right. Just
Yeah.
making sure.
And right here's where the filters are. And it had you do that when your images came up and it went to the next image. It had you blur the previous image in that activity. And right here's where you did that with filters. Okay.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
I was in the object. That's how come my filters wasn't coming up. I need to be in the scene level. Okay. So to get this to blur, I need to make sure I'm in scene 1. And so here I can add the blur and I can decide how much of a blur on that one I want. And then it wanted me to arrange and move it to the back. There it is, arrange. Send backwards.
That looks
So that
like
it
what
goes behind the other mug.
that looks like what it looks like when I have my glasses off.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Whoops, I don't want the center.
Like all blurry and out of focus.
Yeah.
Same.
So that's how you add the filter, and my filter wasn't coming up because I was in object mode here, symbol mode, excuse me, instead of in my scene. So when I'm here in the symbol itself, it does not give me the same features. So you have to be back out here at the scene level to get your filters. Okay. And so that, oh, and then it wanted you to save it as a bitmap. So you can convert that to a bitmap image. Let me turn on my waves. Let me just turn everything else back on. Well, actually, let me not turn everything back on. I'm going to leave the yellow off. And I'm going to select my waves and my coffee cups. And I'm holding shift down to select more options. And I'm not going to select my text. I don't want my text as part of this. I just want the waves and the coffee cup so that I could take those particular pieces and I could use those for a letterhead, or I could use that particular thing as a business card background or something like that. Does that make sense? I just want to take these elements out of here and use them as something else. or use them somewhere else. Maybe I want to use this as a t-shirt and I want the text to be able to change through the seasons, you know, Happy Easter or whatever, and I could put that on a t-shirt for my staff, something like that. Okay, so I want just the coffee mugs and the waves in the background to become their own image. So if I select those, I can right click and convert those to a bitmap. Now, when I do that, that actually places that over here in my library. And so now you can see I just have those images that I chose, and I could take that and I could use that somewhere else. So once you've designed something, you could take those and make those multiple things. So here, I could come back and I could select my border and hold my shift key down and get my coffee. Whoops, I don't think that got that. So there's my border, my text, and my bottom border. And I could right click and convert to bitmap. And there's my next one. And so it did choose that as well. Let me delete that. I can right click and delete it because that's not really what I wanted. Uh-oh.
You might want to Control Z that.
Yep. Okay, so let me come back over here. I want to turn off the waves. And the coffee mug. Why is it staying on? Okay, so I want the Stevens coffee.
Because it
And I want the
probably
borders.
it-
Oh,
it
because I did
probably-
it all on the same layer earlier. I didn't have a different layer chosen.
I was about to say it probably erased the original when it converted.
Yeah. And then convert this one to a bitmap. So you got to be careful. Again, I said that earlier about doing it on layers. But now this is its own layer without the text. This is its own layer without the borders. And so then I had another one as well. So in my library, I've got different looks of pieces. If I chose layers and if I had turned them on and off right, then I could use it all together. And I can take this whole thing and make it a bitmap. And so then I have,
Your last layer is locked. That's probably the problem.
there we go. There we go. All those little things to look at. Convert to bitmap. There we go. So now I have all of it. Okay. So that's the last part that the chapter talks about. Applying filters, that's the blur that I did. And again, you have to be in scene mode to apply that. Converting and exporting your art as a bitmap. And so we just converted it to a bitmap. And exporting as a SVG. So if I go out here, I don't have any animation happening or anything like that, but I can export image in this case.
Are we supposed to give our mugs little handles?
Yes, you could do that when you could go in and you could have added a handle. When you duplicated it, that's the step that it talked about doing that in. So here are different formats. You can save it as a GIF, a JPEG, a PNG, give it a name. Whoops. Choose a name. We'll get into those other things later. Change the banner size or whatever you're working on here. Optimizing the art is usually the best. Or if you want to focus on the type, this one is, we don't have much type in here, so I would focus more on the art. Clip to stage, because we don't want all the extra. Okay. And then you can save. And then here's where you give your name. I want my mug banner as a JPEG, and I'm putting this in Carlos's thought space. Animate projects. I'm going to move this in my lesson 2 folder so I have it and save. Okay. Then when I go down to my folders, I'm going to minimize that. Go down.
Carlos has a lot of junk on here.
A lot of this is mine that I've been doing. Don't blame Carlos.
Just don't mix your junk with my junk, because
I'm
my
not.
junk is very unorganized.
So
It
here's
actually
the
is.
banner that I just exported. And so I only have the section, not the background, not the stage, not the whole 9 yards. Does that make sense to everybody? That is literally hitting the high notes of this, the rest of this chapter that we started on. Brecken, quit doing that. That we started on Wednesday. And so here's
But I'm tired.
me too. Okay, so in Canvas, I'm trying to get back to Canvas, but I guess I closed it. Window.
As far as I know, it still isn't
There it is.
loading the
Okay,
Zoom thing. So
so here's what I want. Let me share my screen so everybody sees this. Okay, so here's what I want to make you aware of. Several of you have not taken the Chapter 1 quiz. Several of you have not taken the Chapter 1 quiz.
What's that under?
and who would that be?
That's me.
Okay, there are several. Okay, in your Canvas, we are working out of the Intro to 2D Animation course.
Right?
And so when you go into your modules,
Ooh, ha, it's me, Mario.
okay, there's Chapter 1, getting acquainted with Adobe. Right here is Chapter 1's completed project, which was the Ferris wheels and the stars that Mason was talking about a minute ago. And you were supposed to add a picture of you into that, and you should upload your assignment there. I can tell you who submitted.
Please do.
I still haven't been able to submit it. I'm going to submit it today
Okay,
or tonight. Just depends on when I get it finished because it didn't save, like I said.
okay, so Mason, your name will be first, and you don't have a grade out there, so that's okay, I can do this. Okay,
What
so
about me?
these are the people that have submitted: Toby, Isaac,
Me.
Brecken, Stephanie, Carlos, and Taylor. Kyle, Miguel, Isaiah, Tyler, Caleb, Ryan, Ethan, and Mason. I need yours.
Okay.
Who's
Okay.
Taylor?
You will have it by tonight.
Awesome.
I'll
try
doubt that.
tonight.
All right. Also, in your close that down. Okay. In your
Carlos, what was that?
Intro to 2D Animation course under module.
Is that our grade?
Okay, you have the completed 1 project, that's the Ferris wheels, and then there's the quiz right here. They are available for you to take. You can only take them 1 time. Okay, then you have Chapter 2 following that, creating graphics and text. That's what we just finished. Chapter 2 project, the coffee mug, and Chapter 2 quiz.
Question: who's done the Chapter 1 quiz, or can you tell us?
I cannot show you that because when I show that screen, it shows grades.
Oh, I've done
I
it.
could only do the
Please.
projects because I knew Mason hadn't submitted his yet. Okay, so
Come
you can
on.
find out if you did it by clicking on it and looking if you submitted it. It'll tell you. You guys
And
are
can you click on it for us, please?
no, Brecken. You guys are adults. You guys can do that. So click on, go into your
Carlos is an
Canvas.
adult.
Brecken. Carlos can take care of that. So in your Intro to Animation, Intro to Animation, you need to have finished before class on Monday. Okay, and this is out here under your announcements, and I'm recording it.
Well, you should have told me.
Okay. I'm telling you right now. Several of you have not taken Chapter 1 quiz. Do so before class on Monday, or it will be a 0. You also need to upload Chapter 1 activity, which is the coffee mug. All right, and that is out there.
You mean that's Chapter 2.
Yes, I'm sorry. I keep saying Chapter 1.
You said Chapter 1. I was like, that's
Okay,
not the
because I'm on
mug.
Chapter 1 quiz. Upload.
S word.
chapter 2
That's an add symbol.
mug project to chapter
2.
2 assignment before
Don't spell it wrong.
class, I know, class on Monday.
Yeah.
And then chapter 2 quiz is due before class on Monday. So all three of these things, all chapter 1 and 2 should be done by Monday when we start class. Because
Yeah.
Monday we're starting chapter 3.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
All right, now hang on because I need to take attendance right quick. So
I don't
I
know
have,
how annoying I can be. I've never reached my full potential.
Can you put my name
dude.
as Baby G?
nope.
Oh,
Why would you want that?
I don't know. Somebody's behind you, Toby.
Okay,
there
so
isn't.
I have Carlos,
Oh,
I have Toby, I have
I mean,
Brecken,
unless you're talking about the person in the
Kyle,
closet, which that's normal.
Isaac,
what?
Oh, you don't see the figure standing in the
Mason.
doorway of the closet?
and a Steph.
No.
A Stephanie.
Apparently,
Is that
they
a girl?
Can't, apparently, they can't see you.
Kyle, your name just got or changed the spelling too. Okay, am I missing anybody that is in our group today? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Ethan.
Okay.
Question. I've noticed that for some reason, like I've been checking in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but when I check in, there hasn't been any like assignment for those
No.
days.
There hasn't been the last couple. So
So
one of the other things
confused.
I wanted to talk, you're right, and I told you there would be assignments out there, and there hasn't been. So don't get confused. You guys have been pretty diligent. All of you that are here today have been pretty diligent about being in class. Those others that are not going to get participation points unless they have communicated with me prior. I know that Ryan had started a new job just as classes started, and he works until 2 every day right now as his schedule because he's been in training. He didn't have any control over that, but he's been catching up with the videos and he's been communicating. And so he's rocking and rolling. Some of the others, if you're aware, who are we talking about? Tyler's made it to 1 class. Taylor has spotty service and she's working. She's emailed me, but she's missing class as well. Who else are we missing? Isaiah and Miguel. I talked to Miguel's mom last night. So we're working on getting communication with everybody, and they're aware. They know where this is at because we were all here for the overview on Friday of spring break. So all of this stuff continues to be out there. I am continuing to add the videos while we're sitting here recording. And I'm plugging those in right here at the bottom. So if you need to go back and review a session, when we get off here and my video finishes converting, there will be a recorded course right here, and the link will be there. So under announcements, if you guys haven't gone into previous ones to look, I'm getting a little better as it goes on. So now here's the video from the 15th on Wednesday when we met. Before I just had a link to a YouTube video, but now I'm actually embedding it in the announcement. So you don't have to click to go to a different place, but you can do that as well because I'm loading them all to our DV SoTech YouTube channel.
Oh, you figured out how to do that.
Yay. So, and then there's the link to where we met, and I really need to take those out and just have the video there. But also, if you have not finished your MDL certification, you need an 80. If you're turning in a grade lower than that, you need to retake it. You need an 80, and I need those done. They were due by Wednesday. I still have a couple of you.
I turned mine in.
You did, Brecken.
I turned in a 77.
Okay.
Is that not right?
You can turn it in, and I think I commented on there that you needed an 80. I can't remember if that was you or somebody else. But if you can make a better grade, hey guys, hang on. If you can make a better grade, then resubmit. but you need an 80 for me to call that class done. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and do curriculum.
Okay. All right. I'll go. I'll make sure to take it again then.
Okay. And give me the score report. Ryan did his, and he sent me the copy of the certificate. The certificate does not help me. It tells me you passed, but it doesn't tell me a score. And what I'm doing is that score is going into your fundamentals of tech grade 5 times.
I think I sent you
You said 2 times. What?
I know, but I'm giving it to you 5 times because I'm having to put it in for PowerPoint, for database, for Word. Anyways, it's going in like 5 times. So that's why you need
Okay.
80
Yeah.
or better.
I still want to see. I still want to learn database. By the way,
Okay. You going to be with me next year?
probably
Then we'll make sure you get it.
considering I already signed up.
Okay. They're starting to make
I still have to
contacts.
set a
with it.
date for scholarships and stuff, so I don't know.
You might want to get in touch with Miss Downs, Mason. And her email is tdowns. Here, I'll type that down here at the bottom so you can see it.
Heck, if I have
Before
to.
we started doing all this online, then my my counselor, she was gonna help me fill out the FAFSA and some other stuff, but all this stuff happened, and now like I have to set a date in September before I can even start the paperwork to
Yeah.
get money to go to Southern Tech next year.
Okay, so right here, tdowns@sotech.edu. Write that down so you have it, because
Oh, yeah, okay. Give me a second. Panic clicking.
Honestly, the way that things are looking, I might not have my summer camp thing that I usually do. So if that becomes the case, I might I could probably be free for the summer and learn it
okay.
then.
Well, you can text me and we can jump on Zoom and I can show you some different things.
Okay.
Do you have access on your computer?
I have Google Sheets. I don't know what else.
Google
I
doesn't
need,
have a
so.
database version.
Oh, I already have her in my Southern Tech email.
Okay, great.
All right, perfect.
So you can
Thank
email
you.
her, and she's got all the time in the world to help you right now, Mason. So please don't hesitate to contact her and say, hey, just tell me what I need to do at this point and tell me how to
All right.
proceed. Because she is looking to help students right now. Our support staff, they got no students on campus, and so they're available. Use them while you
Right.
got them.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
So this is how you can get back to any of those previously recorded sessions if you need to go back and review something. And this is Wednesday's session.
Bye.
By Monday, Chapter 1 quiz. If you haven't uploaded Chapter 1 project, the Ferris wheel with your picture in it, Chapter 2, the coffee mug, and Chapter 2 quiz, and your Microsoft Digital Literacy certificate, score report with an 80 or better. Okay. The other thing I want to make sure I say to you guys today, and I probably should have said this at the very beginning, I shared it with the second years yesterday. Some of your schools, some of your friends have told you guys what happens from third 9 weeks forward doesn't really matter. I want you to hear, we are a career tech. We are not doing the same things that your high schools are doing. Okay. So we are still working, just like I'm still teaching. And you are in a work-related program. So we are teaching you workplace ethics. That means you show up, you do your job, and you get a paycheck for it. You get a grade for it. And so we are still taking grades. So if you see any of those people, that's why I started mentioning names earlier. If you come in contact, if anybody sees Ethan Campbell, if anybody sees Caleb, if anybody sees any of the rest of them, that Tyler that we're missing here, you need to say, hey man, you got some assignments you need to get done because I am still taking grades. Does everybody understand that? We are between high school and college. College is still working. They're all online and they're taking grades and they're finishing the semester. High school.
Our school is finishing the semester, correct?
Yeah, okay,
Like
good.
my school is like completely finishing the semester. Like I have a science class and English class.
And you're
Same.
Even
still
though my
great.
English class hasn't posted assignments, but my science class, like I have to take a test today by Sunday. Like I have it until Sunday to get it done, and then have like that's it. I have a study island, but
Okay,
he's still taking grades.
okay. So some people are under the perception that I just don't need to show up. And so I just want to tell you that is wrong. Okay? Not to mention, I like seeing your face.
Question.
Yes.
When is school going to end? Is it getting pushed into the summer? Like
No.
I've been
Um,
hearing that some places might be pushed into the summer, and then I've also heard that people are just going to go until like when they usually go close down, and then just
I know, I think Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but Plainview, Dylan was telling me Plainview's still going to school till May 23rd.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And Miss Stevens, on the certification, I'm like really trying. I just suck at taking tests.
You what?
I suck at taking tests.
10
So like,
push-ups.
10 push-ups, dude.
Still in class.
We're waiting.
Do it now.
We're waiting.
make sure to angle your camera so we can see.
why should I do it? What's like?
You're still in
Maybe.
class.
But
And you're recording. We got proof.
Yeah.
or I can just like there's this leave meeting and I can just like not show up again, you know?
But
Oh,
what did
you
I
gotta
just
do
tell you?
that.
I'm
Right,
still
there's
taking
nothing
grades.
stopping
But
you
then
from
you'd
not doing
fail.
it.
But I can get like more sleep though if I like don't show up. But on the other hand, I'm not getting a grade. But like more sleep though, I think that's fine for me.
Hey,
That's a
buddy.
trade-off you get to choose.
Hey, buddy,
Welcome
10
to adult
push-ups.
life.
All right, hold your horses.
I love it.
Like
Hey, point your camera down.
Hey, he's got to stretch out his space first.
Hey, you recording this, Miss Stevens?
I am.
Yep.
It's being recorded.
You see me?
I can see you. Let's count them. 1,
1,
2,
2,
1,
3,
2,
4,
3,
5,
5,
4,
6,
6,
5,
7,
7,
6,
8,
8,
7,
9,
8,
10.
10.
9,
Woo!
10, 11.
Everybody
No, you
give
still
him a
gotta
round
do-
of applause.
Miss Stevens, you got to do one more. He said it again, remember?
No, I said
I'm okay. We'll cut him
Brecken,
some
I don't
slack.
want to hear it from you because you got a rack of like
Okay,
30
Brecken, you
push-ups.
haven't
He's
even
got like
done yours.
300 push-ups, man.
you have like probably like over 300 or something like that.
Okay, so
I-
thanks
I
for
don't even-
sharing, Kyle. Thanks for being a good sport. But
I
take
don't
care
even
of
know
this
how many.
by Monday, and so we can get busy on Monday starting chapter 3. I do have a question though that I want to ask you guys that are here, and I need everybody to in today's announcement, I want you to go down and reply at the bottom. My question to you is, would you guys to move class time back, and would you like to move it back to 10:30? Or would you like to move it back to the afternoon at, say, 2?
I thought you were doing second years at 2.
I'm doing second years at noon.
Oh, at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
I don't have a reply, by the way.
I'll take care of that in just a second. But would you like to move class time back to 10:30 or to 2?
Well, have you communicated with Ryan and seen if his like days are gonna?
Actually, 2:30. Excuse me.
Are they,
And yes, Ryan gets off at 2.
So if we hit it at 2:30, then he'll be able to join us.
Right. So 10:30 or 2:30, because he gets off at 2. 10:30 is not going to change anything except, like Kyle said, allow you guys to get a little more sleep.
I'm saving you guys. You're welcome. Oh, thanks,
I
Kyle.
don't go to bed till like 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah,
That's fair.
same. I go to bed at 12.
Okay. So
I go to bed whenever I can go to sleep.
well, Toby, I know particularly I think it was you, your mom said you are sharing the computer with siblings. And I know you're not the only one in that situation. So I don't know if this will disrupt things because you guys have already gotten in a schedule at your home with your family, or if this would be beneficial. So I want you guys to weigh in between now and this weekend, and we're going to meet Monday at 9:00. But if we can
Okay.
kind of come to a consensus, then we might look at shifting our class times.
Well, today, you know the whole debacle you heard earlier that I
Yeah.
ended up getting muted? Well, apparently my mom was going to take us to our grandparents' shop to have us do work, since my siblings, for some reason, decided that it wasn't worth their time to actually do the work, and was going to drag me along with it.
Okay.
And so,
So I've posted this out here so you guys can talk that schedule over, think about it, and you can reply to it from now until Monday. And then Monday we'll have a conversation to see kind of where we stand. And if we need to leave it at 9, we can leave it at 9.
honestly, it'd probably be a good idea, since that's the only way I end up waking up early and
Okay.
getting all my work done.
Okay, so there's the post for you guys to respond to. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope you guys picked up what you needed from this chapter. What is so funny, Kyle?
Just a cat video. It's the cat just sticking its head in like those.
It's
Can
the
you
cats.
us? Show us.
I don't know. I think cats are just hilarious.
I'll be right back.
Well, we're signing off, Toby.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I
I don't know
well,
why.
there's someone calling, and that might be my mom, so